One of the questions that we see posted most often in the forums is what wetsuit or what thickness of wetsuit do I need in such and such place? Well, the answer is going to be based on a ton of different things, right? So it's going to be based on what time of year and what season it is, what the outdoor temperatures are in that location. And it's also going to be based on your cold tolerance. Also, how many dives that you're going to be doing that week. But let's take a look today about the different kinds of wetsuits that are available so you can have a better idea of what you can be looking at in the future to get the right thickness wetsuit for the dives you want to be doing. Before we do any of that, make sure to subscribe to our channel, follow us on social media at Midwest Mermaids Scuba for lots of great information just like this. The first wetsuit we're going to talk about isn't a wetsuit at all. It's actually skins. And so when we talk about skins, what we're really talking about is essentially a pair of leggings and a rash guard. They're usually quick drying, kind of wicking, those kind of things. And they're going to be for your warmest weather conditions. I will generally wear leggings, full leggings, and a long sleeve shirt anytime I'm diving in the ocean, no matter how warm it is. Just because if I happen to somehow run into a jellyfish or run into someone else or someone else bumps me and I hit the coral or something, I want to make sure that I'm protected and that I'm not going to get all beat up from it, right? But the other thing about skins is that they can make it much easier to get into some of these thicker wetsuits that might be a little difficult to get in by themselves. But sometimes you need a little bit more warmth than the skins can provide. And so then you start looking at your neoprene wetsuits. Now, I have a couple of different ones. These are my Scuba Pro separates. They are 1.5 millimeters. So a 1.5 millimeter thickness of neoprene. And then I have a 3/4. So parts of this are 3 millimeters thick and parts of it are 4 millimeters thick. So this is going to give me a little extra warmth more than the 1.5. But sometimes you just need a little bit. It's going to depend on what kind of diving you're doing, what the water temperatures, the air temperatures, and how many dives you're doing that day or that week. Another option for our warmer weather dives is Lavacore. Now, there's a few different vendors that sell this. It's not just Lavacore anymore, but it's a neutrally buoyant suit with a fleece lining that's supposed to keep you as warm as about a 3 mil wetsuit, but it's going to be much lighter, much more flexible, all of those kind of things. Now, with all of these neoprene wetsuits, neoprene floats. So if I'm wearing neoprene, the more neoprene I'm wearing, the higher thickness, I'm going to have to put more weight into my BCD to help me descend and stay below. But if this is neutrally buoyant, it's not going to have that same effect of buoying me up, so I'm not going to have to add as much weight. I haven't actually used this yet. I got it on a closeout sale, so I'll have to check it out and see exactly how I feel about it. But let's be real. We live in the Midwest and it is cold. So if you're diving in the quarries of the Midwest or doing certifications, that 1.5 or 3 mil is not going to do it. You need something that is really going to keep you warm. And then we turn to, I have a 5 mil wetsuit and I have a 7 mil wetsuit. Now, I'm not a big fan of wearing a 7 mil wetsuit, but a 5 mil wetsuit I can do. But if I'm at the quarries and I'm going into the deep side, Pennyroyal has a shallow side that will stay a little warmer during the summer. But for the most part, if you're in the quarries, you're going to be wearing a 5 or a 7 mil wetsuit. Now, I can turn that around and say, okay, well, I'm going to wear my 5 mil wetsuit instead of my 7 mil wetsuit, but I'm going to layer under it a hooded vest. So I have a little more core warmth underneath, and then that's going to keep me a little bit warmer than a traditional 5 mil would. So there's options that you can actually kind of layer and pair things together to get some extra warmth without having to step up to the next level. Going back to what we were talking about of deciding what wetsuit you're going to need, no one can really tell you that. There are some guides online, and we have one in our dive log that kind of give you an idea of the temperature range that you'll want the different thicknesses of wetsuits with. But just for example, I was wearing skins a couple weeks ago in Key Largo, and the water temperature was 84 degrees, and it was in the 80s when we were out on the boat, right? And I would have told you at that point in time that 84 is probably the minimum temperature that I would want to wear skins at. Anything cooler than that, I would have wanted a wetsuit. But at the same time, last February in Belize, I was diving in skins, and I was, fine in that. And we dove all week again. And I would have told you that 82 was fine. The difference was the outdoor temperature. It was much warmer on the boat. It was much warmer the rest of the day when we were in Belize than it was last week in Key Largo. So all of those factors are going to make a difference. So when somebody tells you, oh, I went diving in the Red Sea and this was perfect for me, when were they diving? How many dives did they do that week? It might be different for you because it might be a different season. The temperatures might be different. You might just get cold faster than somebody else does. So there's no hard and fast rule about what wetsuit thickness you're going to need for a certain area or even a certain time of year. You're going to have to ask those questions and kind of try to narrow it down. My suggestion is always to take a couple of options with you to make sure that you're going to be safe. I'd rather be a little extra warm on the first couple of dives of the week than end up chilly at the later dives of the week. Okay? Hopefully this video cleared up some of your questions about wetsuit thickness and what your wetsuit options are. Again, it's going to be a personal decision of yours and your comfort level. So if you like this video and you found it helpful, go ahead and subscribe to our channel and follow us on social media at Midwest Mermaids Scuba. We would love to get some more information out there. If you have requests, any kind of content suggestions, send them our way. We would love to have them. And if you are a female scuba diver in the Midwest, please join our Facebook group and meet us for one of our meetups so that we can all dive together. Happy bubbles.